Madam Minister, let us start again with news coming out of Kiev that it's been under a heavy barrage of Russian missile attacks. What's your immediate thought about this?
Well, first, our strongest feelings of solidarity with the brave Ukrainians. Kiev, Ukraine is strong, and they are able to survive it. What they need is more ability for self-defense, more capacity of air defense, interceptor drones. They need layered air defenses. They need everything possible. But they also need those offensive capabilities to take out those factories where those drones are being produced. And that is one thing that we should be able to provide to Ukraine. It's under their self-defense rule of the UN Charter, Article 51, which provides for the right of each and every member state to individually or collectively defend themselves in case of external aggression. That is what is happening. So, from other hand, what we are seeing is, of course, that butchering Kremlin has no intention of peace. On the US Day of Independence, and greetings to all the Americans, and greetings to all the friends of America, this is what is happening.
And on that, are you worried about the news coming out of Washington that they might withhold some weapons for Kiev?
We don't know yet. I know that the Ukrainian ambassador and others are working in Washington to clarify what exactly is the situation and where all of that is. President Trump said yesterday they continue to provide weapons to Ukraine. There are issues, there are items that they need themselves. But again, Ukraine is making sure that it's deterring Russia from further aggression, and Ukraine needs everything for its self-defense that is possible.
You said that Mr. Putin doesn't want peace, but do you see a potential for peace this year?
There is always potential for peace, but indications within Russia are such that there is no serious movement towards peace. And as there is no movement towards peace by leaders of Russia or by elements in the system, what is needed is further pressure and push towards peace. And that is through ensuring that Ukraine is strong and able to defend herself, making sure that we as NATO, as allies, are strong, that we have the sufficient deterrent capacity. And that's why NATO summit 2 weeks ago was actually a very good development. Actually, 1 week ago, it's not even 2 weeks ago, last week. And very clearly we need defense industry producing what our armed forces need. They have to work with the Ukrainians to learn those lessons from the battlefield with Russia, which is every day changing. And we also have to be sure that we weaken Russia's capacity to wage war. So sanctions, the 18th sanction package of the EU is ready. With the oil price cap, it has to proceed. US sanction package is ready, Graham-Blumenthal package, so it has to proceed. Only that way. And weakening Russia is the cheapest way to get to peace.
But okay, you talk about sanctions package both from America and the EU, but the price cap seems to be staying at 60, not going down to 45.
Well, it actually does go down regularly to 50 and then goes back up a little bit, but it has decreased Russia's ability to get income in the budget to finance war. Because, and we see it from the analysis of various expenses and other indicators within the Russian economy. So sanctions are working quite clearly. Also through the use of the shadow fleet, Russia is trying to avoid the price cap. It's more and more difficult because more ships are being sanctioned quite clearly, but also we are going after those companies that are helping Russia. And that is another thing where all the countries, whether in the EU or elsewhere, have to make sure that they implement the sanctions.
Do you think that the Russian economy is on the brink?
Russia can go on still for a while, that's for sure, because they are cannibalizing all the civilian economies, they are prioritizing everything around the battlefield. But it's suffering. It's very clearly suffering.
As a Latvian foreign minister, how worried are you about Russian aggression towards Latvia? And are you prepared? You talked about deterrence, but still some years away.
That is, Latvia is a NATO member, so quite clearly we have our own national defense plans, we have NATO's defense plans, we have capabilities, we have powers that we have all given to additional powers to the NATO Supreme Commander to make sure that all that investment that is done in the situational awareness, to make sure that we know and understand what Russia is doing at our borders or further to the south in Ukraine, that to make sure that nothing can happen fast and sudden. So for now, we don't have direct military threats against any of NATO's member states, either from north in Finland or Norway or Baltic states or Poland or the south. In the same time, obviously, Russia is a threat to NATO's allies' security. That is in the strategic concept of NATO. And that is why we have prioritized all the defense and security spending and capabilities to make sure that the deterrence that we have had for more than 76 years since NATO's founding, that deterrent is as strong and viable as it has been. So nationally, of course, we are doing what we need to do internally to be strong because, again, weakness is something that Russia will notice. So we are good. Our internal security agencies, our society is doing well.
How do you read Mr. Medvedev's comment that it's not only NATO now that is an enemy, but also the European Union? Because that's a change of rhetoric.
Listen, I would suggest not to read too much into some comments. I mean,
I understand.
Each country has its clone.
When it comes to Ukraine, though, and coming closer to the European Union, we know that there is a Hungarian veto. It's been there for half a year already. Is there any way to circumvent that veto to let Ukraine open the first clusters?
There is a way, yes, but I'm not going to comment on it now because it's always better to get the unanimity to start the negotiations.
There is a way to circumvent it?
Yeah.
A legal way?
Of course, legal way.
But does that involve Article 7 procedure against Hungary?
I cannot comment on speculations. You asked me if there is a legal way, there is a legal way. But again, everybody prefers to make sure that there is unanimity and that quite clearly countries that is ready to start negotiations is not blocked. It's not only about Ukraine, it's also about North Macedonia. So there are other issues there. But
so you are fairly hopeful that now during the second half of the year that Ukraine will open accession talks?
We will do everything possible to do that.
Is it time to decouple Moldova from Ukraine on this path?
Again, I cannot answer the discussions or suggestions. Everything is taking place on the merits, and Ukraine and Moldova are the two obvious. So is North Macedonia for the opening of accession negotiations. They actually started 20 years ago, the same as with Croatia. Croatia is now a member. And for North Macedonia, we haven't even opened the chapters, the first ones.
When it comes to Belarus, we have seen a slight change in the politics there with the release of several political prisoners. Is it time for the European Union to reevaluate relations with Belarus, potentially differentiate between Belarus and Russia?
We very much welcome the US efforts and achievements to release the prisoners, and there were 2 Latvian citizens also, so the way they are describing the conditions and how it was happening is quite appalling. So we expect Belarusian regime to release more than 1,000 prisoners that are still in there. And that's political prisoners only. I mean, there are also others imprisoned under other preconditions, and so on and so forth. So we don't see a big change, if you ask me, yet in the policy of the regime. However, quite clearly, Belarus is enabling Russia's war in Ukraine. Russian troops are marching through. Russia has fully integrated Belarus into its Zapad preparations in the preparations of the Zapad strategic exercise. There is a whole spectrum that is witness and proof that Belarus has not changed anything. So, in the same time, it would like us to believe that it's changing, but there has to be real proof to really witness that.
So you would maintain the sanctions for now?
Obviously.
When Mr. Kellogg was in Belarus, there has been speculation that he, or rather Belarus, wants to again export potash fertilizers through the European Union. Would Latvia be ready if Mr. Kellogg came asking Riga to transport these sort of things through?
There has been, and I've said that also to various media inquiries, there has been no ask from the US about it, and that is all some type of, we don't know where that disinformation comes from, but nothing like that has happened. And there is a whole spectrum of sanctions on Belarus fertilizers and potash and companies and so on and so forth. So
you prefer those to remain as they are?
Everything stays as it is.
Okay. Turning to Georgia, because that will be a big discussion when foreign ministers meet in the European Union in Brussels on the 15th of July. Is the bloc now ready to adopt more hard-hitting sanctions on